You guys have sent in some really interesting stuff about fear and how it affects, like, our choices,
Right.
right? Especially when it comes to trading.
Yeah.
And we're going to deep dive into some advice today.
Okay.
It's from this guy, you.Thank.
Mm-hmm.
He's a mental performance coach. And he has some advice on how to, like, overcome this fear of loss.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that, that feeling, right?
Absolutely. Fear is a powerful emotion.
Yeah. It can really kind of lead us down the wrong path sometimes
For sure.
when we're trying to make decisions, especially when it comes to trading.
Yeah. Trading especially, I think.
Yeah. And Zerd kind of highlights this interesting paradox.
Okay.
He says that when we hyper-focus on what we don't want, we can actually end up moving towards it.
Yeah.
Seems counterintuitive, huh?
It does. It's interesting, though, isn't it?
It is.
Because it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he uses this example, it's kind of funny,
Okay.
of a soccer coach who's yelling, "Don't go backwards," to his team. So under pressure, what do? They go backwards.
They retreat. Exactly.
Like their brains latch onto the backwards,
Yeah.
and they just ignore the don't.
Yeah. It's almost like we can't process that negative.
Yeah.
Especially in, like, really emotionally charged situations. Our brains just prioritize action over negation.
I see.
He calls it the action bias. It's like a survival mechanism, you know? Like, we're wired to act first and think later.
That's so interesting. So it's like when things are going south and we're in the heat of a trade, our brains just want to do something,
Yes.
even if it's the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's absolutely the wrong thing.
Wow. So that's why it's so crucial to understand this
Absolutely.
for traders.
Yeah.
As an experienced trader, fear is a part of it.
Right.
But Yolzer is kind of offering us a way to not let it control us.
Yeah, to kind of manage it.
To manage it.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you're so focused on avoiding losses, that fear might actually drive you to make some impulsive trades, right? That could actually lead to more losses.
The very thing you're trying to avoid.
So we almost need to flip the script
Yeah.
and focus on what we do want
Exactly.
instead of what we don't want.
I love how he puts it, too. He has this really great example. Have you ever tried to tell someone not to think about something?
Oh, yeah. Like, don't think about a pink elephant.
Exactly. Or, in his case, he says, don't think about Ronaldo's bright red shoes.
Oh, now I can't get those red shoes out of my head.
Right. That's the point. Trying to suppress a thought often makes it even more prominent.
Wow. So how do we kind of apply this to trading?
Well, instead of focusing on, like, I don't want to lose money, visualize yourself, making that perfect trade.
Oh, I see.
See that profit you're aiming for, feel that sense of accomplishment.
So it's more than just positive thinking. It's about actually retraining our brains to focus on the things that'll get us where we want to go.
Yes. It's about shifting your focus from what you're afraid of to the actions that lead to your goals.
I love that. It's almost like setting your GPS, right, to where you want to go.
Exactly. If your GPS is set to avoid losses, you might miss the best route to profits.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
So we're essentially rewiring our brains. I've heard about this concept of neuroplasticity. Does that come in?
It absolutely does. Neuroplasticity is all about the brain's ability to change based on our experiences.
Right.
So by consistently visualizing those winning trades, practicing your strategies, you're strengthening the neural pathways that are associated with making good trading decisions.
Even under pressure.
Especially under pressure. It's like you're training your brain to respond differently to those fear triggers.
Wow. So it really is like working out a muscle, huh?
Exactly. You get better with practice. This mental training strengthens those neural pathways, making the right responses more automatic over time.
So it's not a one-time fix.
No, it takes effort. It takes practice.
But it's empowering.
That's what I love about Zer's message. He's saying, we have more control over our fear than we think.
That's a powerful idea. So it's not about becoming fearless. It's about, like, learning to manage that fear.
Exactly. So it doesn't sabotage us.
So it doesn't sabotage our success.
Right. Now, how do we take these insights and actually apply them in the real world of trading? That's what we'll explore next. So welcome back to our deep dive.
Okay.
You know what I find really helpful about his approach is that he uses these everyday examples to make these complex psychological ideas kind of understandable.
Yeah, they really are relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that one he gives about the mom telling her kid not to stand too close to the TV.
Oh, yeah.
What happens? The kid runs right up to the TV.
Immediately plants themselves right in front of the screen.
It's funny because it's so true.
Exactly.
But it also illustrates this point perfectly.
Yeah.
You know how our brains just latch onto the action, not the don't?
Yeah. They don't hear the don't.
Yeah.
And Zur says, we do this in trading all the time. Yeah, we say, don't lose money or don't make a bad trade.
Right.
And what happens?
We end up like hyper-focused on it.
Yeah, we're hyper-focused on the thing we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Which leads to these fear-driven decisions that we were just talking about.
So how do we break free from this?
Well, that's a great question.
Zur talks about reframing.
Yes.
Our thinking, right?
Reframing is key.
Okay.
So instead of, dwelling on what we don't want to happen, we need to shift our focus to what we do want to achieve.
Okay, so instead of saying, like, I don't want to lose money on this trade,
right,
a trader should be thinking, like, I want to make a 10% profit.
Yes. That's the idea.
Using this strategy.
Exactly. And here's what's so interesting about that.
Okay.
It's not just about positive thinking.
Okay.
He's suggesting that this shift can actually change how our brains function.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It goes back to that idea of neuroplasticity.
Okay, yeah, we touched on that.
We did.
A little bit earlier.
When we focus consistently on positive thoughts, emotions, these neural pathways in our brains actually get stronger.
So we're really rewiring our brains for success.
It's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
We're actually changing the physical structure of our brains.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is pretty amazing.
So it takes work, though.
Well, it does.
It's like you said, it's like working out a muscle.
Yeah, the more we practice this type of thinking, the more automatic it becomes.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do we do that?
That's the million-dollar question.
Like when we're in the middle of a trade?
Yeah.
And things are stressful.
Right when the heat is on.
How do we focus on the positive?
Well, Zur says we have to become more mindful of our thoughts and our emotions. He says just start by paying attention to that internal chatter.
Oh.
What are we saying to ourselves?
That's interesting.
What are we focusing on?
So step one is becoming aware.
Awareness is key.
Of those negative thought patterns that could be holding us back.
Right. And once we're aware of them, then we can start to challenge those thoughts.
Okay.
Is this thought even true? Is it helpful?
Right.
Is it moving me towards my goals?
And if it's not, then we can replace it with a positive thought.
Yeah.
This is where visualization comes in.
This is where it gets really fun.
Okay.
So Zur encourages us to create a really vivid picture in our minds of the outcome that we want.
Okay.
Engage all of your senses.
Okay.
Imagine seeing yourself execute that perfect trade.
I like that.
Feeling that sense of satisfaction.
Yes.
When you hit your target.
So it's like creating a movie in your head.
It's like a mental movie.
Of the success.
Of your success. And the more detail you can put into that visualization, the more powerful it will be.
Because you're actually training your brain.
You're training your mind for success.
It's not just daydreaming.
No, it's active.
Yeah.
Mental training.
But visualization isn't enough?
Well, he says it's not enough.
Right.
We have to take action.
We got to do something.
We have to take concrete steps to move toward those goals.
So it's about aligning our actions with our vision.
Exactly.
Not just thinking positive thoughts.
You got it.
We got to actually do it.
And even small steps can make a big difference.
Okay.
The key is to take consistent action.
Even when?
Even when we're afraid.
Especially when you're afraid.
Because remember, action is the antidote to fear.
I like that.
Yeah.
Action is the antidote to fear. So we're summarizing his advice so far.
Okay.
It seems like he's saying, 1, become aware of our negative thoughts.
Yes.
2, challenge those thoughts and replace them with positive ones. 3, visualize our desired outcome in vivid detail.
Vivid detail.
And then 4, take consistent action even when fear's holding us back.
You got it. You nailed it.
Did I miss anything?
I think you captured it perfectly.
And what I think is really remarkable about his approach is that it's so practical. It's something that anyone can apply.
Anyone.
Not just traders.
In any area of life.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
It's about recognizing that we actually have more control.
We do.
Than we often think.
Yeah.
We may not be able to control what the market does.
Right.
But we can control.
We can control how we respond.
How we respond to it.
Absolutely.
And by making those conscious choices.
Yes.
We can start to create the results we want.
You are in the driver's seat.
I love that.
Yeah.
But Zur doesn't stop there.
He doesn't.
He gets even more specific.
He does.
About how to apply these principles to the world of trading.
To the real world of trading.
And that's what we're going to explore next. So welcome back to our deep dive into Yuval Zer's strategies for conquering fear, in trading.
Yeah.
We've talked about how our brains are wired to focus on threats.
Yeah.
And how to reframe our thinking to focus on what we want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's get into how this works in the real world.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty.
The trading.
One thing I find interesting is that he doesn't really sugarcoat it.
What do you mean?
Like the risks of trading.
Yeah.
He's not saying to ignore potential losses.
Right.
Or throw caution to the wind.
Right. He's not advocating for just blind optimism.
No.
Where we're just thinking positive and all of a sudden we have tons of money.
Exactly. He's very clear about having a solid trading strategy.
Okay.
Doing your research, managing risk.
Right.
But his point is that even with the best preparation, fear can still kind of sneak in there.
It can.
And mess with our decisions.
It really can. So it's not about eliminating fear altogether.
Right.
It's about learning to manage it.
Yeah, so it doesn't control us.
Right. Exactly. And he gives us some specific tactics to do that.
He does. One of the key things he talks about is this idea of having a clear trading plan.
Okay.
Like you have to have a plan.
A battle plan.
A battle plan for your trades.
Okay.
Something to guide you when emotions are high.
So what does that look like?
Well, it means defining your entry and exit points for each trade in advance.
Okay, so you're saying when you're going to buy or sell.
You know exactly.
No matter what.
No matter what.
The market's doing.
Because that helps you avoid making impulsive decisions.
Based on your emotions.
Yeah, fear or greed, Fear
or greed. So it's about taking the emotion out of it as much as possible.
How much possible, yeah.
Okay, so another strategy he suggests is setting stop-loss orders.
Stop-loss orders are crucial.
Okay, what are those?
So these orders automatically sell your position if the price drops to a certain level.
Oh, I see.
Which helps limit your potential losses.
It's like having a safety net.
It is a safety net.
So that you don't just panic and sell.
At the worst possible time.
At the worst possible time, right?
Yeah. And it can also help reduce that anxiety and pressure, knowing you have a plan in place to manage your risk.
So you're saying it's not just about protecting your capital.
Right.
But it's also about protecting
your mental state.
Your mental state.
Yeah. Your mindset.
Zer also talks about the importance of practicing detachment.
Detachment is huge.
That's a hard one, though.
It can be one of the hardest.
What does he mean by detachment?
So it means not getting too attached to any one trade or outcome. Don't let the wins or losses define your self-worth.
Don't let the wins go to your head and don't let the losses crush your confidence.
It's about seeing each trade as data.
Data.
Yeah, information that you can learn from to refine your strategy.
So it's like a learning experience.
It is. It's all about learning.
Instead of just an emotional thing.
Exactly.
Oh, that's interesting because if you're not emotionally invested
yes.
in every trade, it becomes a lot easier to stick to your plan. And make those rational decisions.
Rational decisions, yes. And it makes the whole process less stressful.
Way less stressful.
Yeah.
What strikes me is that this isn't just about trading.
No.
These principles apply to
all areas of life.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Where fear is holding us back.
Absolutely. Whether it's a tough decision at work, a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Anything that triggers that fear response.
See, these tools can help us.
You can use these same tools.
So it's about taking back control.
It is about recognizing that we have more power than we think.
Right. We may not be able to control what happens.
The external events.
Yeah, but we can control our response.
Our thoughts, our emotions, our actions.
Well, I think Yuval Zer has given us a lot to think about today.
Yeah.
He's reminded us that fear...
It's normal.
It's normal. It's part of life.
Part of the human experience.
But it doesn't have to control us.
It doesn't.
His message is one of empowerment.
Yes.
With the right tools and the right mindset. We can manage that fear and achieve our goals.
Absolutely.
So the next time you are facing a situation that makes you feel afraid.
Yeah.
Remember what we talked about today.
Ask yourself, what do I truly want?
Visualize that positive outcome.
Yes.
And take action.
Even a small step.
Even just a tiny step.
And remember, fear is often a sign you're on the right track.
That's a good point.
That you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
I like that.
Embrace that challenge and don't let fear hold you back.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time.